Hello, welcome to the live reality game podcast. My name is Steven, and it is my favorite time of the year. It is time for a new season of Reelfoot. And so to kick off the new season, we're actually in day 2 of the season. We have a full regiment of members from the Reelfoot production to kind of walk us through this current cast. And so let's, Parker, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us who you are, what your role is, and then kind of pass it down the line as you go?
Yep. So Parker, I played in Reelfoot season 3 and 6, been on production since season 4, and I'm one of the main heads of Surviving Reelfoot, a co-host. I do tribal councils and jury handling.
And I'm Trevor, and I am same backstory as him. I do casting. I'm one of the other heads of Reelfoot. I basically float around and do a little bit of everything, and now I run the social media, Facebook page, Instagram, TikTok, all that.
I'm Frank Goodpaster, Reelfoot's favorite pre-jury member. I played 9 and 11. Excited to be here.
I'm also Reelfoot's favorite furniture maker.
I do have that. And I'm also this season I'm a handler. I'm gonna be handling. Can I say?
Yeah.
The battle back and post game counselor, since I know how to deal with loss well.
Do players know there's a battle back, by the way? Is that common knowledge?
They know.
Okay.
And I'm Trinica. I'm from Surviving Reelfoot season 12 and first year on production, tribe handling. If I look very tired, I am.
Well, thank you all for, again, taking the time. Again, it's late in your day. You've been on your feet all day. And so at least you're in the air conditioning for this part. So thank you for it. And so we have 18 players this season in no particular order whatsoever. We're going to walk through the players, and would love to get to hear your insights about them. And I can say what I have heard from what's been posted, but I'm sure Frank and Trinica, you have much more insight because you're down there with the players every moment. So without further ado, let us begin. Bringing our first player, we have Sam. Sam is 30 years old from Hopewell, New Jersey. She's a bartender and sales rep and thinks she wants to play most like Carolyn Wigger, which is a very interesting player to choose.
So Samantha, it's funny she compares herself to Carolyn because she is a larger than life personality like Carolyn was. You know, when we interviewed or when we got to get to know Sam, she had played in Amos's Assassin series. He got to know her, and she was just a bubbly personality. She's got a great smile that lit up the room, and we're seeing it out there. It was just a no-brainer there's no brainer to cast her.
Yeah, Sam is, when you walk down to the camp, you're going to hear, that's the voice you're going to hear as you approach, is Sam talking about whatever, mostly about her past games. She loves talking about her previous games, or to try to think that could come back to haunt her. But big personality, and she says she wants to play like Carolyn. So far, we've succeeded, so bravo. I'm gonna by the way, so normally we do this podcast every year with Pete and Amos, but this year we decided if we're gonna do a deep dive, we need to bring out the handlers, the people that are there with these tribe mates day in and day out. So Frank's been with Kanane, and Trinica's been with, and how do you say it?
Inada. I just forgot.
There you go. Inada. Yeah. So when we get to they're going to be able to give us a lot of tea. So Frank's been with Samantha for a few days. So go ahead, Frank.
So Samantha is a firecracker. That accent is amazing, and like Trevor said, she's definitely the loudest one out there. She started the game off on a good foot, but as the days have gone on, she has come off a little abrasive to some of her tri-mates, and there are people that are heavily pushing her name. She does have allies out there, and I don't think the writing's on the wall yet. She's just come off. Samantha, what I'm seeing is she doesn't know how to let just a silent void happen. So she tends to fill that void, and sometimes she'll overspeak, but she's super funny and very outgoing and fun to watch. As a tribe handler, like, you want a bunch of different personalities, and when they cast her, I don't think they could have found another Samantha.
So her tribe just won immunity. Is she a player that needed this extra downtime, or is like the more downtime, given that she's going to keep talking, is this going to make her game worse?
I think she needed the time. Whether or not she uses that time wisely, I don't know. She's on to the fact that her name's up. She's not in the dark on that, and she's got the scent of who's saying her name. But I don't know if she's got the capital to turn it. I think there's a couple key players on that tribe that once they make up their decision, it'll be whether they really want to put themselves out there for her or not, or just let her go.
I will say, I'll just add real quick. She has a surprising ally that you wouldn't expect, and that's Rob. Like the biggest, baddest dude on her tribe. He's like, I did a confessional. He's like, I love Samantha. I want to work with her. So if you want an ally, I mean, that's the one you want to have. So that's going to be a big plus for her if they do lose. So
I am so shocked by that.
I
We can
know.
talk more about it when we get to Rob, but that's crazy.
yeah. So okay.
All right. Next player that he is from the Inani tribe, correct? Orange tribe.
No.
We have Chad Holloway. He's 42 years old from Madison, Wisconsin. He is a poker player and podcast host / journalist. I'm hoping to pick up some pointers from him if I ever get to talk to him. And he would most the player he most play like is Maria Gonzalez.
So Chad was a no-brainer in the casting process. He's a poker World Series poker champion, so he knows how to lie, manipulate, deceive. I don't know if he knows how to connect with people on a different level yet. Trinick will be able to talk more about that. But in his interview, I mean, he killed it. He probably knew. He knows how to talk to people. Okay, so it was a no-brainer, at least for me. What about for you?
Well, Chad has an interesting story with casting because this is his second time applying. He applied for last season, and although we do give a lot of people interviews, a lot of people don't get one, and Chad did not get an interview. His application did not impress us in season 12. Nothing wrong with it, but just wasn't impressive to move on to that point. Fast forward to his application this time. His video was great. His answers in the application were great. We're like, oh, okay, this guy's bringing it a little bit more. Let's get to know him a little bit. And he, like Trevor said, killed it. You know, he was personable. He was smart. He was funny. And he just has that kind of personality, like Trevor said, where he can talk. You know, he's a journalist. He's a podcast host. I think he knows what people hear. He's got his ear to the ground. And he's just someone that's been a lot of fun to watch so far.
Yeah, Chad is somebody, within the first hour at camp, he was clearly the workhorse, clearly the leader. You had people like Colby coming up to him and saying, I don't know how to do this surviving thing. Like, teach me, tell me what to do. Everyone is looking to Chad for a decision when it comes to, are we making fire now? How much rice are we making? Where are we putting the shelter? I thought that was going to be his downfall and that everyone was going to say, okay, you're the leader, let's get rid of you. But people seem to love Chad. I have only really started hearing his name from Anada today, and it's really from just one or two people. Jay West doesn't seem to be connecting as much with him. I think people aren't so concerned about the fact that Chad's a poker player because Chad told them he's a poker journalist, which is accurate. I think that's like part of his job.
It is.
But, some people are still just calling him a poker player, but there's not a lot of talk of, oh, he's going to be scheming, strategic. Nobody sees him that way at all. I think he actually is that way, but people are seeing him as somebody who's really into the survival aspect of things and not into the game aspect of things. So I think that's actually really powerful for him, and he doesn't seem to be in any danger at this point. I do think there are people listing him as someone they haven't connected with as much. So socially, he probably does need to do a little bit more work, but he's found himself the leader of a boys' alliance at the moment.
I feel that's a dangerous position to be a leader of a single gender alliance.
It very well could be.
Well, one interesting thing is this season you have 2 tribes of 9. So one tribe has 4 guys and 5 women, and the other one has the reverse of that. So that's been a dynamic that's been talked about at both camps. So I don't know, is he the one with, did they have 5 guys?
I think they have 4 women, right?
Guys at Anada, and that is a conversation. There are some of the guys who are working with the girls, and there seems to be an agreement that they get rid of a guy this time.
Yeah,
so
I
that
have
we're
heard that
equal.
too.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that guy will be Chad, though. I don't think
No, it would all be
there's
Chad.
no world in
No.
which he's the first.
Not Chad.
There's another name that's been coming up more from what I've heard.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, staying with the Orange and Outer tribe, we have Juan Roberts. Juan is 26 years old from Starkville, Mississippi. He is a color guard instructor, and the Survivor player they play most like is Jeremy Collins. So I think the safe answer for these questions is just pick a winner. But I'll be curious to see if he does pull it off like Jeremy. Tell me about Juan.
First of all, that assessment is correct. And if we had a nickel for every one of these people who picked Jeremy, which Jeremy's a great player, but a little diversity in the answers next time, people.
Sorry, someone's picked him. You have to pick someone else. First come, first serve.
Yeah, off limits. Juan was great in the casting process, just really likable, very personable. One thing that stood out to me about Juan was his background being a color guard instructor, working with school kids, I believe middle school age, just what that meant to him about trying to uplift kids in a very difficult time of their lives. You're in middle school around that age, you're trying to close up and, clam up a little bit. He has to get them out of their comfort zone to do these things. So I think that has an impact on just him as a person. It has a little bit of impact on him as a player too. He's trying to lift everyone's spirits. He's trying to make people feel uplifted. He's trying to see the best in everybody. So I'm really happy Juan's here.
After we casted him, and there's that period between you're casted and the game, he would send us voice memos, and it was some of the funniest shit I've ever heard coming from this guy. And I was like, he's gonna have golden confessionals. I can't wait for him. So far, so yeah, that's exactly how it's happened. He in the game, he seems to be doing pretty well as far as I can tell. But I just want to say one story about him so far. In one of the challenges, there's a frame they have to go through, and you have to lift people through it without touching, I guess, the edges. And this dude ran and did a front flip through the frame, and I've never seen anything like that. When we designed it, we never thought anybody would ever do that. I imagine if you didn't see it, it's going to be in the episode. So.
Yeah, I think also Juan doing that front flip is something that was very intentional on his part. He said that he wanted to show off some of his skills, what he can do, be seen as an asset to the tribe. He's not at all concerned that anyone is going to think that that's a reason to vote him out right now, at least. And speaking of, audio messages, Juan plays a lot of online games. And fun fact, I played with him, voted him out. And he said, quote unquote, he has never played with a dumber player. He actually said that to me in an audio message that was 6 minutes long. So I think a big firecracker in online games. So I was worried that he wouldn't be able to tone that down coming out here. But he has been very cool, calm, and collected. I don't think anyone sees him as a Samantha, for example. Right. He is coming across as someone who's easy to talk to, funny. He's cracking jokes at camp. He's good at challenges. And again, this is somebody who is not in any danger of being a first boot. Juan is connecting well with Jay West and Deb, who it seemed like, at least on day one, Juan really wanted to work with Deb and was helping her out after she wasn't feeling so well during the challenge. So Juan is somebody I'm not worried about. He's super strategic. He's ready to be cutthroat. He's not doing it yet, but I think he's really excited that they're going to tribal.
I'll add one thing too about Juan is because that's always the thing with people who played a lot of orgs, come into their first live game. Can they make that transition? Because it is a different dynamic, a lot of it. And I think he's doing a good job so far. I think the key to Juan is keeping the frustration and the team TV elements to the confessionals, and that not being telling someone that in a conversation or in a group setting. So if he can keep doing that, I think he'll be okay.
One last thing that I'll add about Juan is for Anada, it seems like he's the one who really kickstarted the strategy talk tonight. Everyone came and it seems like they were kind of just talking as a group, and then he pulled Colby, I think it was, and said, "Hey, let's go talk."
It just started popped
up.
Up.
So it's kind of the driving force between the vibe at camp tonight.
Yep.
I think that's the hardest thing to do is breaking the ice. I've been in many circles where everyone's like, "What did we do? We just lost." No one wants to make the first move, and taking that first move, it's pretty brave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say Purple started speed dating first thing of the day. They didn't wait till immunity. They were speed dating pretty early.
See, they're doing it right.
They planned for the trial before the travel was a guarantee.
Yeah.
All right, next we have Brandon. Brandon is 49 years old from Atlanta, Georgia. He is a stay-at-home dad and a small business consultant. And the winner he would be most like is Tony Velachos. Well, hopefully winner. He's not this is not game changer Tony, but yeah, it's a full package deal, I guess.
Brandon, so far, well, let me start with the casting process. Brandon came in, and when we asked for Surviving Reelfoot, we have different molds of like what we want in a cast, and we needed somebody to fit that mold, and he came in, he fit the mold of what we wanted there, and so far he stepped in and filled that role pretty well. I think that he is struggling though, connecting to people socially. I think that might be, he's doing terrific in challenges as far as I can tell. It was funny. I'll get to a story later about him. I'll revisit this guy, but all I'll say right now is it seems right now I would say he's struggling a bit to get connections going with the tribe. We have a twist where there's letters hidden around the camp, and everybody was breaking off and looking for these letters, and it was like painfully obvious that everybody's looking for these letters. And Isaiah goes, "Hey guys, like, can we just call it what it is? Like, we're all looking for the letters. Like, maybe we should just look for them together." And everybody's like, yeah. And Brandon's like, "What letters?" So like that tells you a little bit about where he's at in the game, and that's my spiel on Brandon.
Well, and Frank has much more insight to his game than I just. We're going to get to that. So I'll just quickly add another story about Brandon, or not story, but just addition of the casting process is, we like Trevor says, we're always looking for molds of characters, and Brandon fit that mold. And one thing that's always fun is people who are parents getting out here, whether it's the first game, whatever. This is Brandon's first live game, or second live game, so I should say. And, he's talked a lot about, he wants to prove himself to his kids. He wants to show that, his kids can do anything. And that's just always a touching thing to see, a parent out there who has more of a reason to play than just for themselves. They're trying to pass on a good image to their kids. So that's something that's on his top of mind. I had a confessional with him, and he was talking about at the end. It was really sweet. And, he got teary-eyed. He's talking about how they're going to be so proud of him to watch him win that challenge, see their dad do that. So Brandon's got a big heart.
Yeah, I think Brandon, I think in this format with Reelfoot not eliminating the first couple of days, I think is helping Brandon. He just made a couple missteps early and kind of started slow to the game. Like we were talking about letters, he didn't know any. And then a big mistake that I think he made that maybe flagged him, a red flag for a couple of the players on his tribe, is when Colby came over, he ran an audible and gave away a letter without any talking about that with the tribe, and that came up as a problem with a couple. I think if Samantha was not there, Brandon would potentially be in danger. I think if Brandon, I think Brandon might have a couple people that are going to be in power positions, and if they get the power early on in this game, I think he's going to be safe and could possibly go far in the game. If the opposition gets power, he could potentially, if Samantha's safe, it could be him.
The thing about the letter too that's interesting is they're going to get to raid Anata, right? And so they're going to come over, they're going to see that the letter helped Colby unlock the puzzle thing, that they have their jar of candy now. And, that could be something that does vibrate.
Yeah. What did he say when he came back? Just curious.
Colby?
Yeah.
Colby came back and he told the absolute truth, and nobody believed him.
It's a journeys. That's why I don't like journeys. I was a player.
So wait, can I ask what is in the cryptex?
So there's a cryptex with letters, and we painted random trees around camp. We painted letters on them, and if they solve it, the word's utopia, and if they solve it, they get a note, and it says, "Turn this note into production to receive a reward." Well, the reward is Amos loves giving the tribes a jar of candy or hiding them in the camp or whatever. So we got that back for this season, and the person who unlocks it gets the note and turns it into production gets the jar of candy. But we have a caveat this season where you can only share this jar of candy with 3 other members of your tribe. So they're forced to, on the spot, pick 3 other people. So it puts them, it is a reward, but it puts you in a kind of a difficult position where you have to like make a selection, and kind of, you don't want to show your hand. You know what I mean? So it's a little social element right off the jump. So
I mean, gosh, that cryptex is going to be Kobe's downfall, I feel, but we'll get to him later.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next player. Speaking of him, we have Kobe Dixon, who's 20 years old, from Sykesville, Maryland. He's a student. He would, again, play most like Jeremy Collins. I do have a brief Kobe story before I get to all. Okay. I played with him last summer in Survivor Los Angeles. It was a one-day blood versus water game, and I started a tribe with Kobe. And I'm walking the bathroom. It's Kobe and one other guy, and I'm trying to use this as time, like, away from camp, to talk strategy, because the game moves fast. And Kobe just doesn't care. Kobe runs the bathroom, runs back because he wants to find the idol. And I'm like, wow, it sketched me out. I'm like, I think I need to target him because he doesn't want to work with me. And I don't think that was the case, but it certainly is seeing him here in Reelfoot. I'm like, oh, I feel it's the same thing. He sees the cryptex and he has the cryptex and he wants the cryptex no matter what everyone else thinks. But go ahead and tell me about Kobe and the casting process and how he's doing right now.
I'm just going to say right now that you took the words out of my mouth. He is tunnel vision on this advantage. And it turns out it's not really that significant of a advantage. So a jar of candy may be the thing that cost Colby his game, which is kind of interesting. But as far as casting goes, I'll say he's a young guy, and young people usually have to apply a couple of times because they have to build their confidence or kind of find their way or their story. And really, I don't know, but that was probably his first interview, right? Yeah, his first time applying, first interview, and he just knocked it out of the park. So it was a no-brainer for us to cast him.
Colby's just, you hear him in that interview. He's just got such a vocabulary. He's one of the smartest, young men I've ever met. He had a confidence to him as well. It wasn't overbearing. Sometimes with young people who know they're athletic and smart, it's an overbearing confidence. But at least in the interview, it was a quiet confidence, which is something we like to see. Colby, he told us a story, and now I'm questioning if it was even true. He's a sneaky guy, but he told us a story that we thought was too good. It really made him stand out in the casting process, where he said, hey, in Heroes and Villains, when Jeff says Colby Donaldson from Australia was so popular, parents were naming their kids Colby. He says, I'm one of those kids. So we said that story. I don't know if it's true, but if that's actually...
He told me the same story, and so does Mom.
Yeah. That's just a story that we thought was funny. But this kid is a huge fan. He really wanted to be here. There was some concerns about his flight actually not making it. Last minute, it all worked out. So he really wants to be here. It's really hard watching him be in the position he's in because a lot of it is self-inflicted, unfortunately. But I'll let Trinica explain more of that.
Yeah, Colby is one of my favorite people to do confessionals with because he is the delusional king of Nada. He's so charming. Socially, he should be flying through this pre-merge without an issue. But as soon as that cryptex was found, it was just all over for him. He was the one who found it, so he has to be the one who solves it. He's constantly fiddling with it. What is, difficult to watch is that he is very self-aware, actually. He knows that he should not be doing this. He shouldn't be fiddling with the cryptex. He knows that it's putting a target on his back. He knows he's not helping out around camp because he's so focused on it, but he cannot stop. He will not stop, and he did not stop until he solved it today. I do think if they were to go to tribal tonight, Colby would have gone home, I think, 99%.
How many letters did he find to solve that?
I don't think he found any. So that's,
which is impressive.
Which is impressive.
Yeah.
He didn't know about the letters for a long time. Everyone else in their confessionals was like, oh, these are the 4 letters. And Colby was like, I just can't figure out the words. He had no clue there were letters anywhere. But eventually, yes, he did find out about the letters. And then getting that A from your camp was what immediately, as we were walking back, he goes, oh, I think it's Utopia. So that was what cinched it for him. But yeah, Colby is someone who everyone just sees as schemy and cagey and lying. And that's unfortunate because he's actually very honest, very open. Deb is somebody who Colby really wants to work with and told on day one. And in his confessional with me, he tells me, Deb's my number 1. I flew to Los Angeles. I did this one-day game with my mom. I really want a mom figure out here. Apparently, he tells Deb that, and Deb says, I don't want to be anyone's mom out here. Deb has also said that she thinks Colby is a snake, completely. And Colby is absolutely wanting to work with Deb, and Deb does not trust him one bit. So that's been a real struggle, I think, that Colby just doesn't have any sense of who his allies actually are.
I will say, though, one thing. He has one saving grace. I did an interview with Aliana before, coming up for the night, and she mentioned that at the challenge, Colby mentioned to her that he wanted to have like a Kyle Camilla alliance with them, where that no one would know about this connection between the two of them. And she said, well, initially I wanted him out, and I've been wanting him out for a while, but when he pitched that to me, I kind of liked the idea of us having this secret connection. She's like, so now I'm thinking about, making a move to try to keep him around. So he has someone now that has influence that may make a move to try to keep him. So it's not totally over for him. So.
I think what's going to help him is that he does know that he is at the bottom. He was really down yesterday, his last confessional. You know, he was really in his head. He felt like this was the worst socially he's ever been in a game. But today he has seemed to turn it around, and he's making moves to fix that. So along with Aliana, he also did that with Allison. He went to Allison and said, listen, we're butting heads over the Cryptex because those are the two who kept trying to steal it back from each other to try things. And he said, instead of butting heads, like, what if we actually work together? And similarly, Allison was like, yeah, no one would expect that. Yeah. Let's do it. I don't know that Allison necessarily feels gung-ho about working with Colby, but she does see him as someone who wouldn't betray her. And I think we can get to this with Allison, but she does have a lot of power on the tribe. So that could help save him.
I want to say that the cast picture that he has from where I see him now, he looks like Captain America. Like he took a super soldier serum and just beefed up. It's insane.
He's really great at the challenges, and so that could save him along with being in a potential boys alliance because a lot of the boys seem pretty upset that they lost and might want to vote out one of the older people or anyone who's a little less athletic. So that could be something that saves Colby. I would be surprised if tomorrow morning they're still on Colby as the name.
Yeah, I think when I was listening to Colby's confessionals, first the Colby Deborah backpack confessional is comedic because they just have such opposite reads on each other. And the second was when Colby's, I think it was the morning confessional take. Colby's just like, I want to play the game. People aren't playing the game yet. It's like, oh no, like everyone is playing, and you're just not being included in it. It's rough. So I'm hoping things turn around for him, but we'll see what happens. But man, jar of candy, wow.
Yeah.
All right, switching tribes. Next up, we have Jenny. Jenny is 54 years old from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. She is a communications professional, and she would be playing like Rupert Bronham the most.
So this is, and we'll get to number one later. This is number two, the player's most botched name. This is Janai.
Oh, Janai? Oh, see, yeah.
No, I had to ask her when we met her. So Janai is a really fun person to have out here because she's not connected to this community at all. She never played an org, an LRG, so she is a true rookie. So you really like to see that, get new blood in the community. You know, it makes for a more dynamic game. And, you know, she found out actually from Tony, who played last season at a Survivor event, and he recruited her. She thought it sounded fun. She did admit to us that she didn't realize it was quite this intense. So I don't think she's having buyer's remorse or anything, but she's definitely seeing these things are real. But I'm happy to see Janai play. I'll say very quickly, I think she is someone who benefits from there being non-eliminations on the first 2 days, because I think she took a very slow approach at the start of this game, and Frank has a lot more to say about that. From my own observations, my fear is she is not doing enough socializing, enough strategizing, and that's going to put her on the back foot, I think.
So when we interviewed her, Janai, I wasn't 100% sure that I really wanted her to come out and do this because I wasn't sure how well she would do. But since she's come out, I can say now that I've been 100% wrong about her. And I'll tell you that by demonstrating with a story. So it was 8:30. It was literally like 8:30 on day one yesterday at her tribe, and they were like, "Well, I guess we should start a fire." And it's like almost dark. They can hardly see anything, and they decide now's the time to go for their fire. They hadn't done a fire at all up to that point, and so they go up there, and Brandon, who we talked about earlier, grabs a ball of toilet paper that they have, and he rolled it up in the ball about the size of like that, and then he puts it there, and he's trying to light it, and everybody's watching, and they're like, and it's like I'm gonna say this, and I know they're gonna see this. It was the worst display of any tribe I've ever seen in Reelfoot history trying to start fire.
I don't know. Season 7 could give them a run for it.
It was pathetic. But then here's where the story is interesting. So then Isaiah's like, "Here, move out the way. Let me do this." And so he puts like 4 twigs on the ground, and he's like, and then like I'm like, even if nothing's gonna happen, you know. And so then finally, Trav is like, "Here, move out the way. Let me try." And he tries for 5 minutes, and then Janai's like, "Can I give it a shot?" And they're like, "Yeah." 10 seconds later, they had a fire. So she's a badass. And it was just interesting that 3 men couldn't get this fire going, and she steps in and boom. 10 seconds. So she's a badass.
Yeah, she won me over how she introduced herself to her tribe back at camp when they first got there because she knew people were going to mess up her name. And the way she told people to remember her was Return of the Jedi, like a Star Wars reference. So
Oh, I like that.
One over from Jump Street. Yeah, I don't think they would. I think her tribe would be in trouble if they didn't have her. Like Trevor said, I don't think none of them know how to start a fire out there. And staying in those woods with no fire through the night would be an experience that I think they'd all struggle with. So they're very lucky to have her. I don't think she's in trouble really right now. I think she's being smart. She's not making bad decisions while a lot of the people on her tribe are making bad decisions. She's just kind of watching the shit happen around her. And I'm not seeing her name come up with people. I know that I think she's in really good with Nina, and I think she's going to be protected.
Yeah. I'll just add very quickly, another just awesome moment of Janai was in the first immunity challenge we did. Her tribe was behind, and the orange tribe had a lead on it gets to the paddleball section, and Jessica and the orange tribe doing it really struggled. And her purple tribe was able to catch up, and Janai's doing the paddleboard. Now Jessica's on attempt number 20. I'm not exaggerating, but at this point, Janai gets it in one go. Not even 10 seconds, gets it, passes immediately. And that was something that I was happy to see because she has proven herself to her tribe. And like Frank and Trevor said, I really think she's an asset to her tribe, and I hope they see her that way.
The force is strong with her.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Isaiah Kidd. Isaiah is 29 years old. He's from Orlando, Florida. He's a theme park performer and an escape room game master. The player you play most like is Jesse Lopez. And I know Isaiah is also a alumni at Survival Challenge. And we got to the final three of I can't remember which season. Was it the 2022 seasons? A recent one.
One of them. But he made the final three in Survival Challenge.
Right. So, okay, I'll start with him. So when I do the casting process and we're doing these interviews, we do hundreds of interviews, right? And it gets really repetitive and they can take a long time. So I like to have fun with these people. So what I did this season is I asked a question to every single person that I interviewed. I asked, if I gave you a magical coin right now and you flip it and it lands on heads, you win $1 million. But if it lands on tails, then someone on the earth is going to die. Would you flip the coin? I asked every single one of them that. And he said, I'd flip the coin. I just keep flipping it over and over, whatever. Once we decided we wanted to cast him, we decided we would call him and fake him out that we weren't sure about casting him. So what we did was we called him and I said, hey, we're kind of 50-50. Like 2 of us want you and 2 of us don't. Like, we don't know what to do. We don't know if we really want you. And it's like, so you talked about this coin flip thing. Like, would you be willing to take a coin flip for your shot on Reelfoot? If it lands on heads, we'll cast you right here, right now. If it lands on tails, then you can never play Reelfoot ever again. Like, you can never apply ever again or whatever. And he's like, flip that coin. And so we flipped it and it landed on heads. Whatever it landed on, I was going to react accordingly. But luckily, it actually did land on heads. So you'll hear him talk about this. He says if he gets to the finale, he's like, I'm literally here because of coin flip. We cast him no matter what. He doesn't know that it's coin flip, but he's so proud of that. Yep. And he literally was the first. This was the first person we casted of everyone that we interviewed, right?
No, absolutely. And you know, that was really fun to see the flipping. And part of why we went to that decision is Isaiah made Reelfoot history, at least since I've been on the casting and since Trevor's been on the casting, even Amos and Pete, is, you know, after we do the interviews, we do a score, you know, 1 out of 10, just our own opinion. That's not the end all be all, but our opinion, you know. And Isaiah's the first person in Reelfoot history to get a perfect score. 10 all across the board. Just he was so charismatic, so funny, so likable. He told us about his life, and and you're seeing that play out there. Just Isaiah's a really genuine guy. He really loves being out here. He wants to prove himself to himself. He does tell us that he feels like he has to prove himself to us. And we told him a million times before he got that. No, we're not worried about that. Just play the game. And I hope he gets the opportunity to play because he's really excited to be here.
And one other just small thing. He has cerebral palsy, and he told his tribe about that. And he's like, literally, if you see his legs, he has one normal leg and then like one that's like small. And he shows them like, yeah, I have this disability. Well, he's he got really lucky because Nina on their tribe also, we'll get to Nina later. She also has a disability, and we'll talk about that later, and how she saw that and bonded with him almost instantly. Yeah. And so that's helped him now. He's got an ally. So go ahead, Frank.
Isaiah, when I first seen him out there, I just saw a star, like very charismatic, like they said. I do think like the pacing of Reelfoot is helping Brandon, but I think it's hurting Isaiah. I don't know if Isaiah's played a game that's this slow paced. I think today he set himself back with some of the people on his tribe of just overplaying. He was super aggressive today, way sooner than he needed to be. When Isaiah was good enough and had the charisma, he could have just coasted through the first part of this game. And I think he might be overplaying. And if his numbers don't get power, he could be in trouble. But if his numbers get the power, I'd see him doing well. But yeah, if he could just chill out a little bit and let the game come to him, I think he'd do amazing. But yeah, super entertaining.
That is one of my favorite parts about Reelfoot is just how how you can use the time, or the time changes things. You have these first, you really like 1.5, 2 days, maybe more if you win some challenges, to really kind of figure out where things go. And some people it hurts, some people it helps.
Right.
You can tell his brain's he's constantly thinking. Constantly thinking about everything, about the things Pete was saying on the reward, constantly. But one thing he does is he's it's all coming out of his mouth. He's talking out loud, and that could potentially hurt him too. I would keep some of those thoughts internal.
I've also noticed he's very talkative, especially at challenges in front of the other tribe. I'm not saying he's the leader, but if I was the other tribe, I would think he's almost an unofficial leader. He's very vocal.
Yeah, he's making some Frank Season 9 mistakes.
All right, so next up we have Jessica. How do you pronounce her last name?
Herbeck.
Herbeck? Great.
It's Herbeck.
Herbeck, okay.
Yeah. Jessica Herbeck, she's 46 years old, from Front Royal, Virginia. She is a teacher. The player she most play like is Surviving Fields. I know she played season 3 Outlast, I believe, which is airing right now. So I've gotten to see a little bit of her game, but I don't know what a full game for her would look like. Tell me about Jessica and her great taste in hats.
So the hat, I saw the hat right away. That hat is basically like a symbol of her personality. She's very like outgoing and bubbly and like but I almost wonder if that's like she's playing that up a little bit, because I've seen her now because they lost that immunity challenge. My first time going there and documenting some of that stuff, and I've seen her now play the game, and I'm wondering if she plays that up a little bit. Trinica will have to tell me.
Yeah, and just because she's, how she is appearing, with that sun hat is how she is. She's very considerate. She's compassionate. She cares about the people she's out there with. The teacher in her comes out. The mom in her comes out. I think Trevor is hitting, and Trinica will be able to elaborate more. I do think one thing she did say before the game was she did want to be almost like a facade of like, not that it's fake, but overplay the kindness, the sweet mom teacher role, so that she could be more underestimated and be a more strategic thinker. So I think if that works, that's a good strategy. We'll just have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely correct. I mean, with Jess, what you see is what you get, but she's definitely playing it up and playing a bigger version of herself. She's one of my draft picks, fingers crossed. I think she's doing an incredible job socially, in the sense that everyone likes her. Nobody is worried about her or thinking that she's talking to everybody, even though she is. She has a really tight relationship with Allison, which is going to be to her benefit because, again, Allison is a power player on that tribe. And generally, she's doing well. I would say she's kind of like middle of the pack right now in terms of her social relationships. But the issue is that she really, really messed up in that challenge today.
The paddleboard that we talked about, Janai doing well. Unfortunately, Jessica had a very poor showing.
And this is something that has already come up in confessionals. Particularly, the boys are very, very upset at Jess's performance there. I think what helps her that Allison also didn't do great in her kind of hero role. But Jess is somebody who is one of the 3 names that is out there right now. It could be her. I think that the girls don't want to get rid of Jess but we do have more guys over there, and it kind of depends on what some of the guys do. And hopefully, if she's smart, she's going to be building those relationships with the guys a little bit more, because right now she's been focusing on the girls pretty heavily.
All right. Next up, we have Jordan J. West. He's 33 years old from Lindenwold, New Jersey. He's a sterile processing technician. Again, another Jeremy Collins fan in the house. Jay West, I recognize from playing, I believe, season 3 and season 4 of Sequester. So it was a bit of a double take. It's like, wait, I recognize this person. And so I'm very curious to hear your thoughts on him, because he feels very much like a rogue element in this game.
That's an accurate description, a rogue element. Jay West, he came to the interview, just big personality, filled up the whole room, He was almost leading the interview at points, and not in a bad way, He's just charismatic like that. He can talk to a wall. Jay West also, he told us all about his multiple Instagram accounts. He has shirts made of himself. He has multiple nicknames, Jay West, Humble Pie. So all this to say is there is a character a little bit with Jay West, and one of my concerns going to the game was, okay, is this all a facade, or are we going to show the real side? And I think so far, he's not getting too ahead of himself, because he is a big personality. But Jay West, just from a casting standpoint, was a no-brainer. I was really excited to see him apply, because he is a chaotic force, to say the least.
The only thing I'm going to say about Jay West is, because I'm going to let Trinica talk about Jay West. There's got plenty to say. Is that probably I've done 500 Reelfoot interviews. Funniest interview I've ever done.
Yeah,
so,
it was funny.
Yeah, Jay West is another person who it's so fun to talk to him in confessionals. He is such a huge character in his confessionals that I worried that he might stand out too much in camp. He's a big joker. He's always doing these physical gags. But actually, no one seems to be worried about that, except for Jess, I believe it was, who said that Jay West is talking to everybody. So there's one person right now that is kind of noticing that Jay West is socially doing well, but otherwise he seems like he's in a good position. One moment I really enjoyed from a confessional, I think it was today, is when I asked him if he considers himself more of a hero or a villain, and he said he sees himself as a vigilante, then proceeded to say the most villainous things I've ever heard, and then said, but yeah, so I think I'm a hero. So, he's looking out for himself completely.
There's one thing that he did. Remember the post?
Please tell about the post.
What game did he posted on Facebook before the game? Everybody still has their phone.
Yep.
And you play Reelfoot. Hey everyone, I'm gonna be gone for a week. I'm playing Reelfoot. Like everyone does this. Well, Jay West put, hey friends and family, I'm gonna be gone for a week. I'm playing Survival Challenge. He tagged Survival Challenge on Facebook, and we can't tell him to fix it because he's in the game. So now everyone thinks he's playing Survival, and Survival Challenge isn't even on right now.
No, I think goof. He typed in Survival, hit the first thing, and Avenue Survival Challenge. But it's the funniest thing. It's been the running gag in the prod house.
So
Survival Challenge. So I hope Jay West, he's connecting really well with Andrew right now. They both share firefighting experience, and he's also very much playing the middle. I don't think that's going to really come back to bite him at this point in the game, but he is leaking everything that the Boys Alliance says to the girls and everything that the girls say to him, primarily Aliana says to him, he's leaking to the boys. He doesn't seem to know where he's going to go right now. It seems like he doesn't want Colby to go, but he said, if it's Colby and it's an easy vote, by Colby. So I think Jay West is truly in it for himself. He said something about how everyone thinks that this is the tribal portion of the game, the group portion of the game. He said, no, it's always the individual portion of the game. He was happy that they lost because he was getting bored of sitting around holding hands. He's just chaotic. I think, he wasn't helping with the puzzle in the first challenge because he wanted to see them struggle and see how they reacted to things. So he's constantly thinking, somehow nobody sees him that way. Nobody is really saying, oh, he's a really strategic player, that he's cunning, or that he's going to be snaky. No one sees that at all. So he's doing a really great job of hiding that, and I'm very interested to see what he does.
Yeah, he's one that I would like to see him get far in the game, because with being a character player like that, Reelfoot's so long, it's really hard to wear those masks. So I would love to see the game in the elements strip him down, and I would like to see him get an experience that he didn't expect to get from Reelfoot. That'd be cool to see if he got deep.
I agree with that completely, because that's something that Reelfoot does offer more than just the game. Is you really can learn about yourself if you allow it to.
Next up, we have Rob Sullivan. I'm sure you can say many things about Rob, given you played Survivor New York with Rob. Rob is 44 years old from New York, New York. He is a massage therapist and another Jesse Lopez fan. Rob won the most recent season of Survivor New York, The Great Divide?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I remember the season title. So take it away. Tell me about Rob.
Rob was just, again, almost a no-brainer during casting. You know, he comes in, he's this huge guy, you know, physical, intimidating figure, but then you talk to him and he's just a total sweetheart, you know, not an intimidating bone in his body. He really is empathetic with people. He listens to people when they talk. Rob was just someone that I was really looking forward to meeting, and I'm really excited he's getting to play, because you don't see too many guys. Obviously there's gentle giants in LRGs, but I don't think there's too many, and I think Rob fits that archetype a little bit.
So with doing hundreds and hundreds of Reelfoot interviews every offseason, I don't always make them all. Sometimes I miss them. And I missed Rob's interview, and after, if you miss an interview, you kind of, hey, what was the person like? Tell me something, whatever. And they were like, we really liked him. And then I said, who was it? And they sent me the picture, and I said, okay. Like, that's good. Cast it. Like, let's go.
Holy shit, Rob, you need to tone it down. You're too good at everything. Like, you're a previous winner. You're as big as a barn. You're smart. You're likable. Your smile's wonderful. And I'm sorry, you're the biggest massage therapist I've ever seen. And hopefully you become my personal massage therapist, because those paws need to be on these shoulders of Saturday. But no, he's amazing. And one thing I really enjoyed was he was wanting Sam to work with Sam and her to stay around, and talking to and strategizing with the people that are highly against her. He wasn't defending her in a way that would really jeopardize himself. He was just pointing out very obvious, logical reasons that Samantha might not be that bad to keep around, and trying to change the narrative without being too pushy. It's just, I'm just scared he's too amazing, because I don't think I don't see a weak spot. I really don't. I've heard he's great at puzzles too. And it's like, you would hope, I don't know, he just needs to maybe break his arm out there, or maybe pull a Taylor and hurt himself. Like, I really be thinking about that for long term, because I think the minute he's got a merge buff, he needs to figure things out. And yeah.
Inada's definitely praying that he breaks his arm. So, some bad juju heading towards him.
He's a lock for merge. Check back in at merge.
I have a question though. Do they know that he won Survivor New York?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it was leaked.
And they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. They're
Surprisingly, they don't care.
Yeah, they're like, we don't care that he won. Like, we need him. We love him. I'm like, that's how good he is.
A lot of the times when you have someone of his size, just talking to people, sometimes your presence is just too much. Yeah. But he's so gentle, and I've never seen him come off any type of way.
No.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I played Survivor New York with Rob. He was one of my two closest allies. I did not really see weak points to his game out there, other than he was a little reserved at first. Yeah. I think that was his first game, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
Yeah, so he was a little bit quieter. I didn't know that he wanted to work with me for a long time. Like, that's how quiet he was. So that was maybe the only downside to him. And then that he snores really, really loudly.
He still does.
And so he almost got voted out for that.
At least, I think that's a good thing.
That's his weakness.
Yeah,
it's a weakness.
And he also got really hungry during Survivor New York when we were getting fed 3 times a day. So I was worried about the lack of food out here. Yeah. But I'm glad to hear that he's doing well. And he's really good at puzzles. He's like, I don't think people are going to look at him and think, he's good at that. Yeah, he's good at puzzles. He's strategic. I don't know how they let him get to the end of Survivor New York. I'm glad they did. I don't know if they let him get to merge. That's crazy. Yeah. But no problem.
I do. If I'm not mistaken, your tribe probably wants him gone first thing though, so they're not going to let it happen.
Yeah, I feel like a swap is beginning a big problem for him. If there is a swap.
Yeah. They are talking about him constantly. The feat that he did during that challenge, swimming without his arms, scared them so much. They're already looking forward to like, oh, if we have to do a sumo challenge, like, what are we gonna do? Like, they're terrified.
Yeah, when he did that challenge, I was like, why? Why? You already are so amazing. Why?
He just needs to snore some
It's
more.
just a reward.
It'll be okay. Just tell him to snore.
All right. Next up, we have Lachey Porty, who's 25 years old from Fort Wayne, Indiana. She is a CNA. Don't ask me what that stands for, something nursing. And the player she most play like is Michaela Bradshaw. Lachey played also in Outlast Season 3, which is currently airing. So she has connections with 2 other players in the current season. Tell me about Lachey and how she's doing.
Lachey is wins the award right now for Best Confessionalist. She is she's got, I think right now she's probably in the best position on her tribe. We talked a bit about Brandon and how he was viewed as an outsider, and it started to, that was kind of the discussion on camp, like, man, this guy really isn't fitting in. He's just kind of like walking around doing, survival stuff and not really engaged in the game. And she took a different approach than I would have took, that a lot of people would have took, and she just went straight to him.
Yeah.
And she said, hey, people are talking about you. You're not playing this game, and you need to step up socially. And she's the only reason I know is she told me in the confessional that she just went up to him and told him all this and said, the reason why I'm telling you this is because I want to see you stick around. I want to see you in this game, and you're going to have to step up socially. And then you don't know how he's going to take that. In Brandon's confessional, he was like, I really respect her for coming and letting me know that. I had no idea. And he's like, I want to be a baby under her wing, and like I want her to carry to the game. So she's just now gained this vote that's going to be loyal to her through this whole game. So she's playing really, really good, and nobody's saying her name. I'm sure Frank's going to tell us a little bit more, but
I don't think she's in the best spot on the tribe. I don't see it that way. I think she's one of the best players on her tribe. But what I've seen lately is I think she's going to be one of the biggest fighters for Samantha. And like I said, Rob was trying to deter it in subtle ways. She's not as subtle as Rob. And I think that if the numbers don't go her way at this first vote, that could impact her game negatively.
Who is she trying to put the vote on instead?
Huh?
Who would she like to target instead?
I'm not knowing. She's a lot more reserved than a lot of the others, so she's harder to read. But I just know she is heavily with Samantha, and I just hope that Samantha doesn't drag her down.
I did a confessional with Isaiah, and he said that he has a 3 in mind, and it was him, Lachey, and Brandon, and how he would be willing to give a beat up for that group, that 3.
So Brandon might end up being a swing vote because some of the others think that they can get Brandon, and and they're
y'all are sleeping on Lachey. I'm telling y'all.
Well, I'll say about Lachey, just what got her on Reelfoot, what we're seeing a little bit now is Lachey is just real. I don't say it as a pun. Like, she's just really, one thing she told us was, she said, all the flip-flopping that people do, that I don't play that way. She's very honest. Like, not that she's always telling the truth, but she's just very honest. She likes to have a group of people, and she wants to fight for them, like Frank said. Now, we have a bunch of other people that want to play maybe a more fluid game, a more Machiavellian game. That's not what Lachey's going to do. And it makes for good entertainment. It's a fun way to watch. I don't know if that's going to necessarily gel long term. I agree with both Trevor and Frank that she's got positives and negatives. I'm not quite sure where it's going to land for Lachey right now. I do think, though, one thing that helps her is she is very strong. Like, I do think she contributes a lot in challenges, and I think that is noticed.
Yeah, I don't think she's in danger. I just don't know if she's going to have power after the first vote, if it's Samantha.
We'll watch this back.
All right. Next up, we have Nina Phil. Nina is 37 years old. She currently lives in Chicago, Illinois. She is a project manager. The player that they most like is Rachel Lamont. I've played with Nina in Surviving Bloomington. Her first game, I voted Nina out first in Surviving Bloomington, which I don't know if that was is what it is. But Nina's gone on and she's played Survivor Weekender. She also won the Mole Ohio. So she has a win under her belt in a non-Survivor game, which I don't think that should really factor into people's Survivor situation. We brought her name up before because, like Isaiah, she has a disability and a very physical one. She has a cane that she brought into the game to use. Tell me about Nina and how she's doing.
So pros and cons. First, one thing that I really like is that the disability thing, she was open and honest about it. And she's like, so she has a cane that she uses for walking, but only when she has to walk long distances, which if you've ever played Reelfoot, you're going to walk long distances. That's a thing from the camp to the challenge field multiple times a day. And so instead of, making this cane like her weakness, she painted it pink and dipped it in glitter. And it's like, she's embracing that. Like, I'm making this about me. And you would think like that's probably kind of not that smartest thing to do, but it does make people feel disarmed when they interact with her. But by happenstance, Isaiah has a disability. So they've now bonded over that. So I don't know if that's going to help her because Isaiah has a lot of pull on that tribe. So if she can get in really, really tight with him, then she might be okay. But now the cons. She has come off just abrasive to people on her tribe. And she said some comments that people were rubbed the wrong way by. So a lot of confessionals, I'm hearing her name a lot. So
I think it's her versus Samantha. I think they do not like each other. I think it's apparent. I think you can feel the energy when they're around each other. You can definitely see it on Nina's face when Samantha's talking sometimes and says certain things that might rub certain people the wrong way. When she says it and it rubs Nina the wrong way, I see it on her face. So it'll be interesting. This first round for Purple I'm interested to see how it goes because if it goes one way, it's going to be really good for Nina. If it goes the other way, it's going to be really bad for Nina.
Nina is also someone who came in the casting process as an alternate, I'm going to say roughly a month ago, about a month out. So you always wonder with alternates, not last minute, but not a lot of time to prepare, especially in comparison to the people who are originally cast. So you have to wonder how that plays a factor. Did she have enough time, all that stuff? But she didn't let that get her down. She told us, I'm going to take the experience no matter what, which is what you want in an alternate. But I do agree from everything I'm seeing, I think she is in hot water. Correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's impossible for her to survive, but it's still, she has a lot of work to do if she survives even to move forward after that.
I think if Samantha goes, she's fine. And
Okay.
I think if she would have just not let Samantha bother her, I think she'd be fine. And I think Samantha would be worse off. But I think that that negative energy, I think the rest of the tribe picks up on it too and just doesn't like that.
And so do you think, again, going back to the time, I think the longer having more time, is this going to be in Nina's favor or is it going to end up being in Sam's favor? Because it sounds like Sam has some real advocates in the cast or her tribe.
Sam has some redeeming qualities. And I do think, I don't know if Nina's played a game with this much camp life because I think the camp life I think certain people grind on Nina a little bit at camp life.
Yeah, because Surviving Bloomington, we lost Challenge 1 and went to the first tribal council within 3 to 4 hours of the game starting. So we had very minimal camp life to deal with. So yeah, I'm rooting for Nina. I'd like to see someone from my cast that play would do well. So I'm hoping she turns it around. All right. Next up, we have Allison Foisey. Allison is 35 years old from Worcester, Massachusetts. She's a job coach and ABA technician. She would just play like herself. And I think that's a good answer because she's had a lot of experience under her belt. She's played Survival Challenge. She's played Outlast. She's played games I can't remember that she mentioned in her shout out. And now she's here playing Reelfoot as well. And Surviving Bloomington, how can I forget? So she's played a wide variety of games. I'm very excited to see what she makes of Surviving Reelfoot.
She's also Survivor New York.
Oh,
there you go, Surviving New York as well.
Allison is, you normally on Reelfoot, there's always maybe one, for lack of a better term, super vet, someone who's been around the block, has played a lot of games, and Allison's that person this season. She's played more games than I can count. She let us know about the games. Some of them I was familiar with that she played, some I wasn't. And the thing that always interests me about someone in that position is, are you going to do something different? some of these people have seen Allison's cards before. They watched her play this game or that game. You cannot, this is a small community and people talk and recognize you. You cannot do the same thing each time. So I'm not going to say she's doing the same or different from other experiences because I just don't have information. My hope for her is that she plans to do something different, because I do think she's a capable player, but she did say she's very frustrated she hasn't gotten that win yet, and I hope in order to achieve that win, she takes a different path in course.
Yeah, super fan or super vet is the exact perfect word. We do cast one every season, and this was her time. She applied last year, but this one felt right for us.
Yeah.
And I also was worried, are you going to come out and people? It's just one of those names. People are going to know you. They're gonna know you. They're gonna connect dots to you. And how's that going to affect your game? And today, like I said, they lost to me. So my first time going out there, I hadn't seen it. It didn't affect her at all. She's have her thumbprint on the game. She's running things. So at least from my perspective, but I really am interested to see what you have to say.
Yeah, I have a lot to say about Allison. I think it's completely accurate, her saying the Survivor player she played the most like is herself. I think that just speaks to her confidence. That comes across in every confessional. Incredibly confident. She really feels like this is her game. She just needs a little bit of luck. I think everyone sees her as a big gamer. I don't actually know that anyone is familiar with her past games on Inada. I might be wrong, maybe one person, but Jess definitely is, actually, because they're close, but Jess isn't going to blab on that.
Right.
But everyone sees her as a big gamer. I think she cannot hide that. I don't even know that she's necessarily trying to hide that, but like Colby, for example, in his first confessional said, as soon as I saw her in the car, because they rode in together, he could tell that she was just locked into the game, like in her mind, just focused, thinking about it already. And so it's something that's on people's minds. People are, worried that she's going to be an issue, but at the same time, everyone who is wanting her out also understands that she has the power and they need to work with her.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone, if they're smart, would try to make a move against Allison right now. Colby is someone who spent about 20 minutes in his first confessional complaining about Allison and how much he wanted her out. Today, they seem to have a secret alliance. So that just speaks to Allison's power, honestly. She has a mist over this tribe. She seems to be at the complete center of everyone. Maybe with the guys, she hasn't connected with all of them as much, but I do think she's somebody who has been listed as, someone that they have to check in with, see what she wants to do. So like it or not, I think she's going to be running things at that camp. And people are aware of it, and I don't think they're going to do anything to stop it right now.
Agreed.
Next up, we have Geraldine Hardesty. She's 28 years old from Columbus, Ohio. She's a retail store manager, and she would play also like Surrey Fields.
Team first, I'm going to congratulate you. Getting that name pronunciation right.
Oh, I did? Okay, great. Because Justin's called me on the chat for not knowing my cities in Boston and Massachusetts and how they're pronounced.
Well, we talked earlier, number 2 is most mispronounced name denied. Number 1 by far, Geraldine.
How else do people pronounce it?
Everything you can think of in the book. I've heard so many attempts at her name, and she's not bothered by it. She laughs it off. It's just funny. Every name you could possibly think of for Geraldine, other than Geraldine, but they're starting to get the hang of it. But Geraldine, so we had posted, roughly 2.5 weeks for the game that we had an opening in the cast looking for a female applicant, and Geraldine is the one who ended up taking that spot. And some people are going to say, well, you would have taken anybody in that spot. You're desperate. We don't just accept anybody, okay? And Trevor, Pete, Amos and I all talked about this. We sat down with Geraldine, we got to know her. And honestly, if she had applied, I really think that we would have cast her anyway, because she was personable and she was smart. She's also a rookie. She's applied to some games but hasn't made it on. I really am excited that she's made it. Again, you do worry about the last minute alternates. How are they going to do? They didn't have time to prepare really, mentally, physically. But as far as I'm understanding, Frank knows more, I do think her tribe mates like her for the most part, and she's done well. No, they don't like her? Okay, well, I have outdated information then. I'll let Frank.
She has friends out there.
I got to tell the story about what happened with the candy jar.
Oh,
that's where this whole thing.
That's true.
So you know about the candy jar, and you can pick 3 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Isaiah got the candy jar, and he picked Sam, and two other people, because the other two people doesn't matter in the story. So Sam's been eating candy, randomly throughout the day. Well, Geraldine is getting irritated by Sam eating candy in front of her. And so she makes a comment like, that's like I'm not 100% sure what she said. Do you really need candy right now?
No,
like,
she was saying no.
I know.
No.
The
Like,
way Sam took it was disrespect.
Oh yeah.
And Sam blew up and started going around the tribe like, I feel like she body shamed me, and so now there's this little internal power struggle between Sam and Geraldine, and it really triggered Sam, and she went around telling different people. I know though that she didn't mean it that way.
No,
I know that.
I was right there when it happened,
so
and
you tell it from Geraldine's perspective.
So Geraldine, they got the candy. They hadn't ate anything in a long time. Geraldine was saying, you shouldn't eat candy, that much candy, because we already ate candy.
Yeah.
Like you might get sick. And Samantha's said that she had an eating disorder in the past, and don't say that.
Right.
And it was a quick snap. And Geraldine actually was first to cry on the tribe. That interaction upset her because she's like, I didn't mean to do that. And so that was a big rift. And then Nina was over consoling Geraldine. That was a whole ordeal. But I want to say Geraldine's doing really good for someone that only had 3 weeks notice, has never been camping before,
Never played a game.
Never played a game before. And I don't think she's in danger. I don't think she's got social capital, but I don't think she's playing terrible for someone in her situation.
No.
I don't know if I don't know if her skin's going to be. I think she's going to cry some more, especially when the game gets hard, because it's not hard yet.
Right.
Yeah, food politics in these games are real. Like if someone like on my season, Tess was in charge of the rice, and I just let her be in charge of the rice. So it's like, you can make us eat all the rice. I'm not going to stop you because I don't want to get anyone mad at me for having opinions on food. But it is an interesting aspect of the candy jars. Like four people have food, candy, and the others don't. And it is something like you probably be like, how conscious do you want to be about eating in front of other people's face when they're not eating all day? It's hard.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Andrew Turner. Andrew is 25 years old from Indianapolis, Indiana. He's a firefighter, and he would be like the Rob father, Rob Mariano. Do you see that in this game so far?
Yes.
I'll let him speak to that. So just Andrew applied. Okay, not really a story, just very brief. Andrew wins the award for worst internet we've ever had in an interview because he was in the middle of a cruise while he was interviewing, and we had to act, and he couldn't hear every other word we were saying at some points, or it would cut out, and we'd have to shorten our questions as much as we could to get across. And then, so you would think with that unfortunate situation, we wouldn't get much from him. Well, he's here, because even though, we had to change a little bit of the wording of the questions, same questions, great job. He was charismatic. He was funny. He was personable. I actually met Andrew before. He is a good friend of Nathan Barnett, who's on production. They're childhood friends. I met him at Nathan's wedding, and he gives off the type of vibe of a guy you'd want to see play Reelfoot or some other LRG. He's a personable guy. I'm really happy he's here. He also is a complete rookie. He doesn't know anybody. He hasn't done this before, so that's fun to see.
Yeah, super reserved, super quiet. You got to kind of pull stuff out of him when you talk to him. And so I am worried about his social ability in the game. Challenge-wise, I mean, look at the picture. Okay, so I think he's going to do fine in challenges. I am a bit concerned for his social ability in the game. But
he's definitely one of the more introverted people.
He's definitely, when we start a Reelfoot calendar, he's probably definitely going to be favorite.
I think Nathan on production also said that he'd only seen about 4 seasons of Survivor.
Right.
So yeah, definitely new to him. I'm actually not too worried about his position on the tribe. I think that he does not yet have a lot of power, but will soon have a lot of power.
Okay.
I don't think he's in trouble at all. Again, the boys tend to be in a safer position right now, other than Colby, who we've discussed. Right. Andrew is seen as quieter, but he has so much savvy. Everyone keeps saying, look at his calves. Actually, it might just be Dev saying that, but people see him as a really strong competitor. He basically single-handedly created their what do you call it?
Stretcher.
Stretcher.
Okay.
Their stretcher today, it did not seem to help, but he's somebody who just is handling a lot of some of the like physical labor around camp and also in the competition side of things. I think he comes across similar to Chad. Actually, he comes across as not so strategic, not so focused on the game. So people are actually coming to him and giving him a lot of information because they're just not worried about him.
Yeah.
But he in his confessionals seems to be really showing like a lot of strategic know-how. He's just thinking a lot about every aspect of the game, and he's really holding the information he has and figuring out how to deploy it. So I think he's going to be pretty lethal, actually.
Okay.
Cool. I'm seeing Rob for sure. Maybe a little more reserved Rob. Not Rob Survivor New York Rob, but Rob Mariano. I think he's going to have a lot of control over this. What else to say? Oh, Deb is probably his number one, which I don't know where that came from, but those two are working pretty well together. And Juan really likes Andrew. Chad likes Andrew. I think Andrew is going to be in the center of a lot of alliances, even outside of the boy versus girl divide.
I can ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you think if he somehow made it to the end that he could give a compelling argument at a final tribal council?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
When I did his first confessional, I afterwards was like, that was the worst confessional of the day.
Okay.
Okay. But
he's gotten better.
Next day, it was like a different person. I felt like he was so confident. He was like elaborating. He was talking through all his whole thought process. Like he's ready to be cutthroat too. He does not seem at all worried about like, oh, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. He's like, no, when it's time, it's time. And he's been great so far.
Well, let's see if he gets there.
I like hearing that from Trinica. She would know, and I like that. And I hope that comes to play for him because it would be really fun to see someone who I don't think they see as a mental or strategic threat at all.
Exactly.
Do well and outsmart them. I think the only other thing he's got to worry about is being that physical threat. The merge. Obviously, Rob is.
Just keep Rob around. Problem solved.
Yeah, exactly. Rob is probably the only other. Well, there's other shields, but Rob is probably the only bigger shield than him, other than a few other people. So I think he's got to be careful of that too.
The other thing about Andrew is like Colby, for example. Andrew wanted Colby out. Now he's saying, actually, let me use Colby as a fall guy. Colby is somebody who, everybody already sees us scheming. So when I start scheming, they're not going to notice as much. He's also saying Colby is super good at the challenges, has performed, I think, better than Andrew in some ways. They're both really great. Yeah. But because of that, like he's already thinking, who can I keep around as somebody who I point to vote out before I'm the target? So I think he's really, really smart.
And something that'll be an interesting question, if it's not Kobe or Deborah, who I think have the two easy names maybe being floated up with this tribe, who does he put the target on? We'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it might be Jess at that point. But we'll see.
All right. Next up, we have Joshua Travatello. He's 34 years old from New York, New York. He's an IT tech support, and he would play like Benjamin Coach Wade. Now, my favorite thing I've gotten from Trav is like his confessional where if you braid his hair, he'll vote you out. And so he already has a list of players in this tribe who will vote out because they have touched his hair. But tell me about Trav and how he's doing so far.
He killed the interview. He has a great look. I'm gonna zip past the casting part because it's a no-brainer to cast this guy. Now let's talk about him he's his big character. Okay, so he has this potty strategy that he was telling me about, and that has since implemented. So he woke up Lachey in like 3 a.m. in the middle of the night. She's retelling this. If you saw you may have seen this confessional. I'll retell it anyways. She woke up. She said she just woke up at 2 a.m. to someone shaking her, and she opens up and it's him standing over her, and he's like, "Come with me. Tell everyone you got to take a shit. Come with me." And then she said she had crust in her eyes, and she's like, "What the fuck is this?" He like pulls her over, and he's like, "Have you told anyone we know each other?" Because like apparently they played a game together. And he's like, how are we gonna handle this? And she's thinking, what the fuck? It's 2 a.m. Like she was retelling it. It was really, really funny. But that tells you who he is. And I was thinking, surely that was just with you. Well, then later on, I'm documenting different things, and he goes up to Rob and he's like, hey, I don't think anybody should ever see us talk. Like, you're my number one. I'm your number one. We're on the same page always. Let's never speak at camp. And he's like, but at night, you can act like you're going potty. and then you come see me in the woods. I was like, what is this guy's strategy?
Is he just awake in the woods all night?
I'm not
Yeah.
just scattered around the woods.
Holding
like
office
armadillo.
hours.
Frank's gonna tell a story. Frank, go ahead.
So, like, when I first see him play, I'm thinking this guy is chill. He's smooth. Like, this guy's gonna do well, and I do think he could still do well. Just the last confessional of the night, I saw a different side of him. He's talking about how he's a king and he has subjects and a knight and a queen and a squire, and I don't know if he's playing it up for the cameras, but you just don't see that when he's interacting with the camp and the camp life. I think he possibly might have multiple options. I'm curious to see which way it goes. He thinks Rob is his knight and his shield. I'm curious. I haven't got Rob to a confessional, but I want to know what Rob thinks of Trav, because I think if Rob is on board with it, I think Trav's going to do really well. I just don't know if his subjects and his knight and his queen are really in those roles, or if that's just in his head. I'm excited to find out.
He's a character. I'm happy
Yeah.
I love this.
On the way to film that confessional Frank's talking about, he walked past me on the path, leans over to me and just whispers, "I want to be the King George of Reelfoot." So King George from Australian Survivor. So
Is he going to tattoo an immunity idol on himself? We'll
King
see.
George, he's going to have to come out of the confessionals with that, because King George is vocal out in public. So if he does that approach, it's gonna be entertaining because he knows how to do it.
Yes.
It's just, can he bring that out of confessionals?
right.
I did also see or hear about a confessional that Rob did where he said that Trav was someone he like really wanted to
Yeah.
work with. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
No,
he's like,
He's doing great. He's not any danger. It's
Right.
just that he's a massive character this season. So
I don't know about his long-term prospects, but it seems in the short term, he's okay.
Yeah.
he'll be good. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Deborah Mitchell. Deborah is 61 years old from Statesboro, Georgia. She's a high school teacher, and she would play like Aubrey Bracco. I'm very excited. I'm hoping a lot of her Barbara upside from Deborah this season. Hope to see her make deep into the merge. But I think, like many players of our archetype, the first vote can be her kryptonite. Tell me about Deborah and what she's doing right now in the game.
No, I mean, you brought it up. Typically being the oldest player and an older female in the game does put a big target on your back, and she was 100% aware of that. She talked about that in the interview before she was even cast. She's fully aware of it, but honestly, like, she has so much confidence in herself and her abilities. It's another one. She ran that interview. You know, she turned the tables on us. So casting her was a no-brainer, huge personality, and I'll just say this. I'm not being hyper about best application video we've ever had, like by far. Like I want to cast her on the video without even talking to her. So, and she knows that already. Like we just kind of told her. She's like, "Was that a great video? Was that a great video?" We're like, "That was a great video."
That is confidence right there.
That had to be the best video. She said, "I plotted it. I worked on it. I thought it was good." So we had to tell her that. So big character.
oh, just me, all right.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, Deborah, aka Bruh, she immediately told her tribe, everyone always wants to shorten my name to Deb. What about Bruh? Which I think just speaks to her personality. She's a complete hoot out there. Everyone loves her. She's just having a blast. She's having so much fun. When they lost the challenge today, when we were walking back, she turned to me and she said, "That was so much fun." So she just has such a great outlook on the game. She's so optimistic. At the same time, she's a big straight shooter. She's going to say what she thinks. I think she was the first person to throw out Jess's name tonight.
Oh.
According to Colby, at least. And she now seems to be telling other people that Colby was the one who said it.
Nice.
So smart, because everyone already sees Colby as a snake.
Another
So,
fall guy.
always the fall guy, Colby, poor guy. But yeah, I think Deb is someone who could be in danger tomorrow. And if they went to tribal tonight, again, I think it would be Colby. I worry that with everybody going to sleep and waking up tomorrow with the nerves of having to go to tribal council, the conversation might turn to, how do we not end up here again? And they might start looking at Deborah as the solution. But I think that she has great relationships with Andrew, with Jay West, with Juan, actually a lot of the guys, and the girls also seem to really want to work with her. So, you know, if they don't try to vote based on challengeability, I think she's going to be fine. And also, she killed the mayonnaise in that first challenge. Everyone talked about it in their confessional. Like, even though she was slower walking along with the rest of the tribe, and that was something that people did note, they were like, but look, she has this other strength. Who knew that she was the mayonnaise guzzler? So I think that if she makes it through this tribal council and they don't keep losing, that she'll be great. But if they keep losing, she might be the next to go.
Right.
Yeah.
But socially doing fantastic.
It sounds like I have a question. It sounds like she's doing nearly everything she can to try to get it off, but it's just the unfortunate reality.
It's just the prejudice of this is an older woman on our tribe.
Right.
Yeah. It'll be hard when Purple wins again.
You know what? I do think they will. And I love my babies, but it's looking rough.
So real fast, given the season, every player starts with 1/3 of a hidden immunity idol, and 3 players can combine together to create a real functioning idol. I imagine most players will try to bring that to the merge to use it then, but how much is the threat of that really impacting the strategy you're hearing so far? People are saying, hey, we're all selfish. No one's giving away their idol piece at this point in time.
So what's happening is that, and I've heard this probably from 2, 3, maybe 4 people, is that they're trying to find, it's like most people when they play a live reality game, they're like, who's going to be my number one, right? Well, this season, what's happening is where's my trio?
Yeah.
Who are going to be my trio? And us 3 are going to come together, and we're going to have, us 3 are a thing. And like, when you hear your name, we're going to give you our, that kind of thing. So that's why you get Isaiah, Lachey, and Brandon.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
Have you heard any talk about it? I haven't heard people talk about
absolutely.
it.
I have.
Well, I ask questions about it. And that's when they say, we're thinking about, we're talking about it. And so, that's there. So people are forming trios, and then the tribes are 9. So you can see how this shapes out. So it's really interesting.
I will say first tribal that I don't think anyone is going to form an idol together. The conversations that I've heard in confessionals is, should we be worried about that? Probably not for this one. So people are definitely talking about it and thinking about it, but probably as a later down the line thing, at least.
Question to you: has anybody talked about maybe trying to get the piece from the person going home? Because that has to be on your mind. Like, how do I get that piece before I send it home?
That's
we also haven't seen anyone use it as a negotiation tool. Like, you can trust me. Here's my thing. You can trust me. You know what I mean? That hadn't happened yet, but there's so many ways this whole twist can play out. So we're excited to see how it works and how it shakes out.
I imagine it'll happen. We'll see at the swap. I imagine we'll see a lot of it happening if and when there is a swap.
Right.
Moving on. I think this is our very last one. We have, is it Aliana?
Yes, it's Aliana.
Good job.
Okay, Aliana DeMarco, 38 years old, from Columbia, South Carolina. They are a social worker, and they would play most like Ave Maria Gomez, which that's an interesting player to choose. Tell me how Aliana is doing so far, and how they got joined into the cast.
Well, Aliana, we interview her. She's very, personable. She's got kind of that sarcastic sense of humor. Where she'll tear you down, but it's all in good fun. She's someone who is definitely out of her element. She said that multiple times to us. But one thing that interested her about this was challenging herself. She is someone who is here to play the game, but also wants to grow. She made that kind of clear in the preseason process. And, you always want that people who are open to the idea of growing as a person, because that is something that Reelfoot offers. And she did tell this story to her tribe pretty early on, is that she is the first openly transgender Reelfoot player. So, and her tribe mates support her in that. So she is feeling the reality of that, as she wants to represent herself and her community well with that. And we wish her luck in that.
This would be my dark horse probably right now. It was crazy because I've spent so much time at Purple, and today, because they lost, I got to go just spend an hour there. And after an hour, I was like, I think this is my dark horse to win the whole thing. She's really got a pulse on the game. Seems like she's got some key numbers. And just based on the little bit of time and watching her walk around and then listen to the conversations she's having, I'm like, hold on, this is someone I need to watch out for. Do you agree?
Yeah, as soon as I did my first confessional with her, I came back to the house and was like, I'm drafting her. Like, she's a good player. She, you know, one thing that I think really speaks to her personality is when she did talk about being trans to the rest of the tribe. At the end, she says, you know, I hope we can all be allies here, but if not, I'll just vote you out. And they all like burst out laughing. Like, they all think she's hilarious.
Yeah.
She is definitely, along with Allison, I would say she's right there at the center of the tribe. I actually think that she has more power than Allison because people aren't looking at her as much.
Yeah.
I agree.
She is, everyone wants to work with her. Everyone. She has the girls. She has several of the guys. She's making really strategic alliances, and she's being very vocal about who she wants to work with, which I think at this early stage of the game is just so helpful to her. If people start like cross-talking and saying, oh yeah, Aliana really wants to work with me, oh, she said that to you too, then maybe it's a problem for her. But right now she seems to be in, I would maybe say actually the best spot, above Allison.
I had a question for you. You know, last season on your tribe, Melissa didn't realize how good of a position she was, even though a lot of other people did. Mm-hmm. Is Aliana aware that she is in this good of a spot?
I think both Aliana and Allison are aware.
Okay.
I think Allison is like very confident about it in a way that could be to her detriment if she's like too overly confident. Yeah. And I don't think Aliana has that problem that she's overly confident. I think she is exactly correct at where she stands, what she needs to do, who she needs to build relationships with.
Awesome.
Well, that is all the players, all 18 of them. Thank you all you so much for taking an hour and a half of your time and of your sleep to come do this with me. Is there any, I guess, teasers or things that maybe we should viewers should keep an eye out for tomorrow? Yeah. Things you can say without giving out too much away.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you can give I know what you're thinking through the other one. If you had another one.
Go ahead, give your.
Okay. So one thing that's happening, Steven, is with twists is I feel like you saw with the Codex, you saw with the camp raid, and there was an opportunity to switch camps. A lot of the twists this season are going to be testing social relationships. It's going to put the players in positions where if they don't do it right, they're going to make a lot of people mad. And if they do it right, they can make people happy. And there's a twist this season the players do not know is happening. It's going to be viewers only, and we're going to make a video and explain it more tomorrow for the videos. All I'll say for now is the eliminated players will have an impact on a future round in the game. Not the winner, just a round. So when you vote somebody out, you got to be cognizant of how you treated them and how they felt about you, because it could come back to haunt you.
Which one do you want me to say? Yeah.
Secrets.
Okay, I'll give you a big one.
This is a pretty big one.
He gave a small one. I had to make sure I had to co-sign with the big guy.
I gave him the green light.
Okay. So you've been asking about swaps. Is there going to be a swap? Is there not going to be a swap? So in the first time in a long time in Reelfoot, we are having no swap this season at all. They will not swap tribes. They're stuck. They don't know it. That they're already talking about it. They're like, well, we know there's a swap every time on Reelfoot on the third day. So, they think this bead, when we're swapped, we're going to use the beads together and we're going to do this and that. No, you're not, because there's no swap. So we also have this thing where, and this is already public, at the third challenge of every day, we have a luxury camp this season, and then we have like a bad camp. And then the team that wins the third challenge every day has the option of switching camps. So they can take the luxury camp. But we have them bring their stuff to the third challenge every time. We don't tell them till they get there what the reward is. But so by them bringing stuff, they think they're going to swap.
Yep.
So we're going to keep teasing them with this over and over, and they're never swapping. They're going to.
So theoretically, someone can get an idol from both camps if they're able to pull this off correctly.
Well, no, because the beads. So they're
okay. So the only hidden idols are the beads players have. Okay.
Right.
Ooh.
Another social element.
Yeah, it's this season's big social element. Lots of social experiments, tiny little social experiments.
Trinica, as a Reelfoot alum who's had swaps and a Survivor New York alum who's had no swaps, which do you prefer?
swaps.
So yes, this will be a challenge, but maybe we'll have to give more to Rob because he's navigated a no swap situation before, so he should be in good stand. I guess you don't need them to have a winner's pick, but is there a player that you're excited to follow or watch play these next couple of days?
I get to go first.
Yeah.
Put me on the spot. Trevor, you really sold me because I had the words for it, but I didn't come to dark horse. Aliana, and especially after what Trinika's talking about. Not that I never on my radar, I just didn't even realize the position. So Aliana, I want to keep an eye on her.
Okay, the player I'm going to watch is Samantha. Not because I think she's going to do well, just the most entertaining. You said, who do I want to watch? So that's
Yeah, I mean, I said not the NBA, just the next couple of days.
I hope I eat my words, Samantha. I hope I eat my words.
I want to see Trav. I want to see that person I saw in that confessional. I want to see more of it, and I'd like to see it come into the game at some point. Meet all the players.
I'm going to cheat and say, too, I'm going to say Allison and a new-to-me person, Colby, if he can survive tomorrow. I just think he has such a good underdog story if he can survive. So
He might.
I'd like to see
We'll
what
find out in the morning.
Well, Trevor, Frank, Trinica, Parker, thank you so much for giving me the last hour and a half of your time. I will let you go so you can get some sleep or whatever production stuff you need to prepare for tomorrow. Make sure the players are eating each other at this point in time. But thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening and tuning in. This has been another live Rally Games podcast, and hopefully this is the start to a lot of good Reelfoot coverage this summer. Take care, y'all.
Thank you,
Steven.
Bye.